don't think a lot of people can really see me. Then again, I think they can. But 4 uploads, one day, let's do it. AEW Grand Slam. Let me just say this. This is the first Dynamite I fully watched with the updated roster, All Out. With the updated roster from All Out. And this was an AEW Dynamite to watch. And there was a lot of hype to Grand Slam. I'm going to share my opinions on it at the end of the video. So, let me just say this. Why the hell would you start off Grand Slam with your biggest match in company's history? Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, the current AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Bryan Danielson, who just left WWE as Daniel Bryan, was already in the main event of SmackDown and WrestleMania in the same year. Why? Why would you do that kind of booking? Because if the main event fails, that is where it all comes crashing down. That is where the show dies down. If you put Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega in the main event of the show, that is where, bang, you executed perfectly. They did this before, too. They started off, I'm trying to think, Rampage. They started off Rampage with Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the championship, the Impact title. That ended up being the match of the night, and the women's title match died. It killed the buzz, and it was a match that just felt clunky and ended the show, which is a terrible taste in many people's mouths because nobody really knew who Jamie Hayter was. This is the same thing that happened with AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. This was Dream Match City. I don't think I was never more excited than I've ever been to watch a pay-per-view caliber TV match like this. Ever. This should have main evented, but there really isn't much to say because that was a fantastic match with such really exciting back and forth pace. It was Bryan's chest was lit red from chops, and Kenny Omega was having his chest caved in from kicks. Their counter sequences were spot on perfect. A roll up to submission by Bryan. It was unreal. The crowd was just molten through every single sequence. It was just incredible. And then Kenny did a Snapdragon and V-Trigger, which was perfect flashbacks of Danielson's concussion and brain injuries from WWE. It was fantastic selling on his part of just how much damage he's taken over the years. Along with top rope moves, it was sheerly incredible. Why were the counters the counters were just so spot on perfect that I had to question myself. Why were they just so timed perfectly? I never seen a match execute with perfect counters since Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. And that match is that match with more flashiness. Because Taker and Michaels were in their 40s doing that. Bryan and Kenny are in their mid-30s doing that. Jesus Christ. And for once, this was not a bad thing, except for not main eventing. There were so many kicks and knees, and then the last 45 seconds of just awareness to win, and then an all-out brawl in the end. Magnificent. I don't have a single problem with this match. Not at all. The draw, it didn't even matter, as the match was just simply perfect. There was no misses. Of course, Kenny Omega's guys came out. The Super Click and Christian Express came for the save. But when we get this rematch again, it's obviously going to be the main event. But it just feels like it's going to be lessened because of that being the kickoff match on a show with such huge hype that isn't going to be remembered for that. CM Punk had a promo back in New York City. It's insane how they followed up Bryan versus Omega with CM Punk and the crowd. Again, it's just nuts. How do you follow that match? Seriously. And then, seriously, there's no way you can follow that match. And they didn't. They really didn't. CM Punk says that CM Punk needs to be mad. needs to be the old him, but he's coming soon. He has nothing to be mad about because the crowd puts a smile on his face. Team Taz tried to put him through a table, and it pissed him off. It's the love fest because when his music hits, he gets that feeling, he just can't help but smile. Hobbs and Taz tried to take it away from him. They don't want him to enjoy that moment. It's been so long since he felt and needed this that he gets pissed off. No one will take that away from him once again. It's his now once again. Should have finished the job last week, and they made a mistake and slept on the legend of CM Punk. Rampage, Grand Slam, Powerhouse Hobbs goes to sleep. Promo God. I ain't gonna say nothing much about that. Promo God. MJF versus Brian Pillman. It went from fast and fiery to slow and methodical in a way. From Brian versus Omega to MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. This match had somewhat of a slow pace that brought down the energy a bit of the atmosphere and Grand Slam created in the beginning. Brian was a great seller of his arm, and MJF's just too good of a heel, using all the tricks in the book, and then being a slime to Julia. So intelligent to how to work. It was a decent showing by Brian Pillman Jr., but MJF got the win. Of course he did. Chris Jericho and MJF cut a promo backstage on Men of the Year, calling them Boys of the Week, and chosen to fall a fat-faced dipshit, is what Jake Hager said. And Jericho said they made a mistake to challenge the Inner Circle in New York City. It's the hardest hitting and toughest team in AEW. They're hungry to smack on MMA meatheads. That was towards Lambert and his guys as well. And we got Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes. What the fuck was this match? From the blood-drenched darkness to red, white, and blue color. Oh, hi, Brandy. Nice to see you again. It was a cool exchange. From a cool exchange with a picture-perfect backflip to Brandy going in, doing a cross-legged middle finger. Okay. And the fans do not like Cody. They really don't. They see right through him now. There was a black mask that knocked out Cody, only for him to get up at 7 and roll in. The selling of Black's leg, that he couldn't even do his signature leg lift to hit the black mask, was so incredible. It was really good. And I love when a wrestler can sell perfectly like he does. He could even, like I said, he could even follow up with the black mask. And it was not a bad kick-out sequence when Cody actually hit the crossroads and got a little bit of a near fall. But what was that with Arn Anderson trying to walk across the ring post and then just slipping and falling? Hey, Arn, are you okay? Like, that wasn't supposed to happen. And then the match ended with Cody just... I don't know what they were doing, but Black ended up spewing black mist out of his mouth and got a win. What was this match? It had my head hurting. This match was a complete mess. What happened to Grand Slam after Kenny and Bryan? What happened? We got Miro versus Sammy getting the promo package, and then we got FTR versus Darby Allin and Sting. First off, cool face paint by those two, Darby and Sting. And yes, FTR 4 playing NWO wasn't bad either. And oh no. Oh boy, this was crazy. This is actually not a bad match. Darby taking a splash on the apron was actually not bad, because that hurt my ribs seeing that too. And there was also a great near hot tag double team sequence between FTR and Darby. And then when Sting got the hot tag in, he was going on a tear. He was hitting the top rope goddamn cross body. And then that chair in the corner, of course, backfired. And then the coffin drop into the Scorpion Deathlock ending. Not bad. It was a nice bounce back. Sort of. We got the Ruby and Britt promo segment from last Friday. From that Rampage, we got Total Bella sneak peek. I mean, Roads to the Top sneak peek. Yeah, that's Total Bellas. We got a rundown of Rampage for that Friday. We also got a rundown of Dynamite for this coming Wednesday. And then we got the AEW Women's Title match between Britt Baker and Ruby Soho. I don't really have much to say about this match because it wasn't bad by standards for me, but it wasn't too enticing. It didn't have to build like some of Britt's other matches, and it felt like just another women's match on AEW TV. It was not a bad near fall off of the Senton, won't lie. I won't lie, that wasn't a bad one. It was air raid crash from the top rope, that was good. And then my face, after Britt stomped on Ruby's face, that was freaking brutal. And then the interference in the end just ruined what was a decent match turn. It was just the same ending that we got from other matches with Britt, honestly. And then my overall thoughts were, like, the hype was huge, and it looked like it was going to deliver. And a lot of people said it delivered. But after the first match, it completely went off the rails. MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr., not bad. Promo by CM Punk was absolutely beautiful, as usual when he comes out. The tag match was good, but the finish to the women's title match and the whole Malachi versus Cody match just brought down the show's greatness to an all-time low, and I felt it from the crowd participation and the overall feeling of the matches. That Cody match really had my head. It really had my head hurting so bad, and I'm coming down with a small cold. I'm trying to get it back up. And take some day medicine later. But honestly, for me, this show went from a potential 5 out of 5 to 4 out of 5 to 3 out of 5, which was more explosives. But then again, the explosives were there. They just didn't go off. Let me know what you thought of AEW Grand Slam Dynamite in the comment section down below. I will be replying to as many as I can. I got another upload coming up with SmackDown, Rampage, and then Extreme Rules is tonight. I will be getting my prediction video out after I get the other 2 videos done later. So, peace, blessings, be safe. If you don't tune into the next ones, I will see you all in the next one.